Okay, right. Well, as I said before, we've got Rachael Hardcastle, the young adult, should I say, author, in the studio with us today, and you'll be talking to us about your novella that you've just got out.
Yeah,
it's just been published.
The Art of Suicide from December 2nd, it came out.
Right, okay. And as we know, we've had Rachael on the programme in the past, and she, of course, writes the Pandora series. And
yes.
I think you've done 4 books of that so far, have you?
Yes, there's 4 books out at the moment, individual ebooks, and then they're all combined into one big paperback, but there's actually another 8 due out. So another 2 volumes of paperbacks, 8 ebooks.
That's right. And so are you working on Pandora now?
Yeah, I'm always working on Pandora. It's kind of a comfortable work for me. It's one of those books that I really enjoy returning to, so I'm always working on some kind of Pandora story at the same time as my other pieces.
Right, okay, well, look, for our audience, these sort of listeners here, can you explain to us the difference between a novella, short stories, and a novel?
It's purely the length. I think it goes something like short story, novelette, novella, novel. I think that's maybe the right order. And it's just purely the length of the book. It's just a shorter novel.
Right, it's just shorter novel, so it's inclined. Right, okay, well, it's called Noah and the Art of Suicide.
Yes.
Where did that title, first of all, come from?
I think, given the storyline being unfortunately about death and about suicide, Noah Finn, the main character, has been struggling with life for a while now, and he's always trying to find ways to end his life. He's no longer wanting to live on this earth. And I think for him it almost is an art, because he keeps trying and he keeps failing and then trying again and failing again. So I think I just wanted to reflect how much Noah really didn't want to be here in the title, and then let the reader read the story for themselves.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So where did this idea come from?
I think partially my own morals and values. There's a lot of lessons in there that I wanted Noah to learn. And I think in doing so, I want the reader to learn those as well, and I want to share those with everybody else, that life is precious, and just not to take things for granted, really, and to respect and to be grateful for everything. So I kind of wanted to get all of my own thoughts and feelings into the book, but to tell a really meaningful story that would leave people thinking at the end and leave it open for their own interpretation. So that's kind of where the idea for the story came, but the setting and the characters are a whole other. There's something else entirely.
How do you get the balance right between, obviously the ideas have got to fascinate you first. Is that
Yeah, well, I'm a huge fan of Mitch Albom.
So are we.
Heaven
Yes,
and
we've read it.
Yeah. And he's my favourite author ever. And I read a lot of his work, and at the end of them, it always makes me feel like I want to be a better person, and I've learned all these wonderful lessons that I already knew anyway, but it just kind of reaffirms it for me. And I thought one day that I really wanted to just have a go at that, at a visionary novella. He writes, I think it's in visionary and metaphysical is the genre, and I thought, I wonder, could I have a go at that, because it's quite different to what I'm used to writing, but I just so enjoyed it. It was so much fun, and I think I kind of learnt a lot myself, as well as trying to teach the reader. I think I taught myself quite a bit at the same time.
I mean, I must admit, I've read it, and I did feel that there was, I could feel Mitch Albom there, an influence through the book, which is really very, very good. I mean, I enjoyed reading the book, and I thought it was very thought-provoking, because you've split the book up into sections, haven't you? There's I think you have some of the sections are denial, guilt, anger, bitterness.
They're actually the 7 stages of grief that Noah goes through. So I'm not giving too much away by saying that unfortunately Noah has to die in this story for the story to be told. And when he dies, a guy appears to him on a New York train, a subway train, and basically tries to teach him 7 lessons according to the 7 stages of grief. Okay. And in learning these lessons, he earns the right to choose his own afterlife. And he's given 3 options at the end, and it's up to Noah, depending on how he feels and what he's learned, whether or not he takes the one that Death's been nudging him towards, because Death's got his own agenda and his own kind of what he wants Noah to do and what he wants Noah to take. So Noah has to make this decision and not only think about his life, but think about the lives of the people around him, which he hasn't really been doing up until that point, he's been quite selfish and quite, self-centred. And I think it's a big shock for Noah when he gets these options and he is given an unlikely choice. He didn't think he deserved this other choice, and it's up to him then whether or not he takes it.
Yes, I must admit that the choices at the end of the book, I thought, oh, right, these are really interesting. And I thought, I sat back and thought, now, if I was Noah, which of these choices would I take?
Yeah.
And I agree with the one that Noah took, because it's the one I thought he'd take.
Oh, is it?
It is.
That's good.
Which is good, because it was an interesting choice. I thought, you've just got to go for this one, though. Just go for it, for goodness sake. Otherwise, you've learned nothing throughout the book, really, for me.
Death tried to nudge him towards the final one, which I won't give away.
No, don't spoil him.
But Death tries to nudge him towards this final choice, and I think for Noah, he thinks that he can achieve that in other ways, and that perhaps it's not quite for him. And I'm glad that Noah chose that. I actually wrote the end in a hotel room. My partner and I went away for the week, and I was sat and just thought, I can finish this. I had a couple of ideas, and ideas were brewing, and I wanted to finish it. And I had a couple of other options for Noah, and I wrote them down and then considered whether or not they were ideal for him. And I kind of took the place of Death, really, being the writer.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm glad I gave him the options that I gave him, and I'm glad he chose, because he effectively chose for himself. It was a no-brainer, really, writing the book. And I'm glad that he chose what he did.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I totally agree. So, but we mustn't spoil it for the reader, because it does build up beautifully, I think, to that end. And I like the idea that you had left him with choices, you know, and I felt it was a journey that he was making, and he was learning lessons along the way.
Yeah, I think the lessons are important, but I needed him to really learn them given the circumstances on the day he dies. A lot of the people that died on that day didn't get the chance to live. They didn't have the options. They didn't want to throw their lives away, and Noah did.
Yes.
So I think it's really important that he learns those lessons, because other people weren't so lucky. So that's kind of the moral of the story.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I think it's fascinating, isn't it? The ambition, really. I suppose that's what you share with Auburn. You know, they're ambitious books, and they're trying to go deep, and they're looking at big themes.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I find that kind of writing really engaging. You know, it's trying to do something.
Thank you. Some of the reviews that have come in so far have used the words risky.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's come with a positive outcome. Thankfully.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a little bit risky, because it touches on subjects such as suicide, and it's set on 9/11. It touches on death. It touches on religion in a small way, and I think for some people that's a bit of a cringe. It's a cringy topic. Some people are uncomfortable reading and writing that, but for me, I wouldn't say it was uncomfortable at all. It felt natural. It felt good to be writing about real life and the struggles that people go through. And thankfully, the reviews that are coming in and the endorsements from yourself and from some of the other people have been very positive. Yeah. So I'm glad that I took that risk. I think it's been really worthwhile.
Good. I'm surprised you say that you felt that religion was just a very small part of it, because I got a sense that the religion and God as an entity, in some ways, was actually quite a major force going through your theme, going right the way through the book.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because I was trying to understand you as an author and your own beliefs, if you like.
Yeah. I can understand that. I think when I was writing the book, I'm not a particularly religious person. I'm open-minded, and I like to consider what-if books, so that those people that were religious would feel close to it. Those people that weren't could make up their own mind and interpret it in the ways that they wanted to. So in the book, Death appears to him and says, well, I'm only death because that's your circumstance at the time. I'm death because you've died. I could also be birth. I could also be marriage. I could be illness. I am everything. I'm an extension of the universe, and whether you want to label me or call me God is dependent on your beliefs. So if Noah was a religious person, such as some of the members of his family, and they died, they might see him as God, and they might still refer to him as God. But Noah being not so much religious, that's not the case for Noah. He accepts it, but all the way through he does keep saying, oh, well, suicide's a sin, and the guy says, well, only if you're religious. It is what it is. It is life.
Yes.
So I think I wrote it so that anybody that was religious could interpret it as such, and exactly for the other way around as well.
You say that you've set it with a backdrop of 9/11. And why was that?
As I said earlier, I really wanted Noah to learn these lessons, to really learn them. And I think I needed a circumstance where a lot of people sadly passed away at once, and a lot of them didn't want to die. And it was so tragic that I wanted Noah to look at that and think, wow, all these people, none of them got what I got. None of them wanted to die. I wanted to die, and yet
he can't.
Yeah, and it's kind of like he's been given what these other people haven't, and he's got to sit and really think about that and reflect on that. And I think I chose 9/11 because it affected so many people, but I tried not to base it too much on the day and use it more as inspiration for the lessons to be learned, because I think it can be a very difficult subject, especially since a lot of people lost family and friends.
Sure, of course, yeah.
And a lot of people lost their lives, and I think I just wanted Noah to reflect on it and to know that other people weren't so lucky, and that death's doing him a favour.
No, that's I mean, it's to be respectful, isn't it, of the events of the people, as well as using it to make a point.
It took an awful lot of research. I learned a lot myself. There's a little church in New York that's survived almost everything. It's the oldest church. That's where Annalise is married, and where he sees Dylan at the end. And I learned so much just through researching New York and 9/11 alone, that I wanted to respect the families and the people, which is why the figures at the end are the figures of who died at the end. But I've actually added one for Noah because I didn't want to replace anybody that passed away with Noah. I wanted him to be an addition to the story. Okay. So it was very difficult to learn about, very difficult to write about, but I think it does the job that I needed it to do.
I think you've done it with sensitivity.
Thank you.
I think that's important.
That's what I was hoping for.
Right. When I was reading the book, its names in it are obviously important, and I could make sense of some of the names. I think it's Christopher Saint.
Yes.
is one of the, which I thought, oh yes, I understand that perfectly. But there were some other names that I was wondering, what on earth did this come from? And I can't even pronounce one of them correctly, I don't think. Ogubunga, something like that. What's that?
Ogubaja, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Say that again.
Ogubaja.
Ogubaja, right, okay.
How it's pronounced. I hope that's how I've been pronouncing it.
Right.
But I wanted the names to reflect the person and mean something. A lot of the names in many of the books I write all mean something, and I like to research that beforehand. I think his name means innocence is stronger than sacrifice, which obviously is very relevant to the story. So, but it's Oggy for short. So if anybody gets stuck, you can call him Oggy.
Right, okay.
Oggy, yeah.
But you've got some other names there as well, haven't you? There's is it Josie? Is that one of the names? I've got it down.
There's Dylan, Annalise.
That's Annalise. Yeah, I've got that down.
Noah and the father in the book as well. And although I don't actually believe his father's named, and his mother, but they're only in it for a very brief time. Right. And their names are so much meaningful. They're just names that I felt suited the characters.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. That's right. Okay. So is there a particular message that you... I mean, when you write, because I think with your Pandora books as well, there seems to be a message that you want to get across to your readers. And the age group of your readers here are?
Well, I usually write for young adult. Yeah. I personally feel that the age group would be slightly older than that. However, they read Hunger Games and they read all these other books with some quite violent scenes in. So I really do think it would be up to the parents. But I feel that it's kind of young adult onwards. I certainly wouldn't recommend it to anybody younger than that, I don't think. But yeah, I've been told there's a similar theme throughout my work, and I've been told it's a spiritual theme, and it's very focused on the fact that human beings aren't particularly nice to one another, and we ought to be. And I don't actively write that way. I think it's just my own morals and values and beliefs coming out through my writing.
Your writing, yes.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a bad thing either. I think we could be a little bit nicer to each other, to be honest.
Well, yes, certainly given the circumstances of today. Yeah, very much so.
Right. I think that's the attraction of Alban as well, isn't it? That he's avowedly moral and good.
Yeah,
in some way.
I think the books are just some of them can be very sad to read, but overall they've got a very positive message, and I think that's partially what I was going for. I just wanted, at the end, I wanted it to be uplifting rather than rather than depressing. Yeah. I know that the title sounds depressing, but
yes,
hopefully by the end of the book you'll realise it's not.
Oh, it's not. No, not at all. Are there any films? Because I thought about some films as well when I was reading through this, through your book. And are there any films that influenced you in any way at all when you were?
Not so much influenced. I think there's a couple that the book's been compared to. It's a Wonderful Life being one of them. Somebody even compared it to Scrooge, the ghosts appearing to Scrooge,
Oh, really?
And taking him through the possibilities of life. So there's a couple of movies that have been compared to it, but I didn't actively take any as inspiration. Although for anybody that's wanting a similar movie, I think the new Will Smith one, Collateral Beauty, I watched that the other day.
I haven't seen that.
And that was very inspirational and with a lovely ending. So I would say if you want something similar, go for Collateral Beauty.
Right. Okay. Have you brought a reading to do from your book?
I haven't, but I can read something for you if you'd like.
Right. Okay. Yes.
I may just have to borrow the book that you have at your side.
Right. There you
go.
I
will happily read something.
In the meantime, I'll
put a record on
whilst you're doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What have
so
we got?
We're going to have Roomful of Blues. Still keeping this blues theme for the moment. Roomful of Blues.
Blues and swing.
Shame, shame, shame. Okay, that was Roomful of Blues and Shame, Shame, Shame. Okay, now, Rachel, you're going to read some of the book for us.
Yeah.
Can you just set the scene?
Sure. This scene is the prologue in the book. It's the opening 2 pages, and it's Death's way of introducing who he is and what's about to happen. So it kind of takes you through a little bit about who he is and what he does for a living. It's very short.
Lovely. That would be excellent.
Death is not the end. That's what I'm hoping to teach this 28-year-old exhausted janitor Noah Finn before it's too late. It's my duty. I've been watching Noah since the day he was born. I witnessed his first breath, cheered him on when he braved that first wobbly step, then the next. I've laughed at every birthday party, and I even danced at his wedding. In fact, for every second of every minute of every hour of every day of Noah's rather short but beautifully meaningful life, I've been there. Naturally, I was also in the room for the birth of his fraternal twin sister Annalise, and until yesterday morning I was watching over her too. But watching isn't all I do, or isn't all I'm capable of, known for, hated for. It is, however, easily the most rewarding part of my job. Observation is merely the first and kindest step on the road to a tailored afterlife. For I am death. I will take you when you can take no more, end your suffering and numb your pain even when you deserve to feel it all. Then I'll exchange one wasted life for another, just like Noah's, especially Noah's. Because a person, sometimes people, have to die for anyone, everyone, to live. It's the unwritten law, a rule I cannot change and joyfully enforce. To most it seems unfair, but it never discriminates, proving death is not the end. Never is, never has been, never will be.
That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed.
It
really is. It's you write so well. I think your enthusiasm somehow comes across in your books.
Thank you.
Which I really think's a joy. Yeah. You're actually doing some a reading, aren't you? You're doing readings and book signings of your work, aren't you?
Yeah, I had an event on Noah's release date, which went really well at the Osler Shopping Centre in Bradford. And my next one is Keighley Market in the hall itself at the little coffee shop as you go in. And it'll be an all-day event. I'm doing 2 readings throughout the day, one from Noah, one from my #1 bestseller, Finding Pandora. And that's on the 17th, which is a Sunday.
Right, lovely. OK, well, I'm going to be there as well.
Oh, great.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I'm coming along to it. Couldn't make the first one. You've also been to the Osler, haven't you, as well, in Bradford?
Yeah, that was really good. It was nice to meet all the local people, and it was actually my first ever public reading, not to school children anyway, in a classroom. So it was quite scary, but I actually think they were so kind to me, and I think it was well received, thankfully. So
excellent. There's something about this sort of markets of Bradford doing. They're trying to help writers or creative people, aren't they? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Bradford markets at the moment I think they're trying to expand and interest other people as well, get some new people coming to the market, get some other events and things going on to interest people that perhaps don't usually go to markets, just to try and support the businesses, the independent businesses in there, and which is why I was so pleased to be invited to work with them, because I'm an independent author myself, and there's an independent bookstore, Miller's Book Exchange, in Keighley Market, who are currently and very kindly stocking my books as well. And I think I just wanted to support them as much as they were supporting the creatives and other people in Bradford, and they're just inviting people in. They're working with local businesses, children, just trying to get new and interesting things going on in the event spaces, just to try and attract as many new people and show off what the markets are really about.
So how do other creatives that might be listening in to the show today, how would they get in touch with the Bradford Markets?
I believe that there's contact information on the Bradford Market website, but people are more than welcome to contact them through me. I'm more than happy to put them in touch with a contact. And if they go to my website, rachaelhardcastle.com, Rachel spelled Rachael, and send me a message through the little email box on there, I'd be more than happy to point them in the right direction.
Oh, that's excellent. So I really do recommend that people go along to hear Rachel do some readings from her books on the 17th, because you'll be there all day, won't you?
Yes.
Yeah, meet and greet people.
I'm going to be there from 10 a.m, and I believe the market shuts at 4, so hopefully, depending on how many people are passing through and how long they want me, I'll hopefully be there all day. So,
well, I've read your novella, and I think it would make an excellent Christmas present. I know that it doesn't sound known the art of suicide, but I think it's a very thought-provoking piece of work, and I think it'd make an excellent Christmas present. And I'm certainly going to be buying one for relatives of mine.
Thank you very much.
Right, okay. I think we're going to move on and play some more music, and we're going to move away from the blues now. And this is Let Me Go by Gary Barlow.
So, the question is...
Right, Martin's got a question, yes?
In your opinion, is Gary Barlow a national treasure?
Do you know, I thought this was a question for Rachel.
What?
Is Gary Barlow a national treasure?
I'm lowering the tone.
No, he's not a national treasure.
Why is he not a national treasure?
Well, I don't like the idea of national treasures in the first place. I don't see why people... or why we create these national treasures.
I really don't. Well, what about Judi Dench? She's a national treasure. She's lovely,
isn't
she?
She's lovely, yes, but so what? Yeah. Why does she have to be a national treasure? What does it actually mean?
Well, you're distinguished. You're distinguished. You represent something about what we like in people, the good things.
Well, Stephen Fry is a national treasure, and I don't like him very much at all.
I'm losing the argument. Rachel, can you help me?
Stephen Fry.
Sorry?
I actually quite like Stephen Fry.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Right, don't at all. But, what do you think about the concept of a national treasure?
Is it a useful idea? Is it a good idea, national treasure?
I think I'd just use the term well-loved.
Oh, that's better.
Rather than national...
I mean, yes, what does it mean?
Is a bit sickly.
It's a bit corny, isn't it?
Yeah,
yes,
it's a bit, I don't think I'd want to be a national treasure. I think that's
yes, and do you let
expectations of you.
Well, also, are you sort of laying buried there or something?
Can I withdraw that comment then now?
Yeah,
I think I should withdraw.
I think we should never said it in the first place, quite frankly.
So it was in the script, but...
I think this could be a little fight later on when we get home, Martin. But moving on swiftly, yes. Rachel's still with us in the studio, and she's going to read us some more from her new book, Noah and the Art of Suicide. Thank you, Rachel.
No worries. This is chapter 2. It's quite a short chapter, and it's titled The North Tower. Noah Finn is about to commit suicide. He checks his watch. It's 8:35 a.m. His overalls flap in the raging wind. The sweat coating his neck and forehead glistens. Trembling, he dabs it with his navy handkerchief. Then, scrunching the silk in an angry fist, he takes another step forward. Noah is standing on the roof of the World Trade Center's North Tower, admiring what will be his last sights beneath a fresh, cloudless sky before he sees his sister again. He looks good. He remembered to brush his teeth and comb his hair today. She'd be proud. It's 8:37 a.m. Noah anxiously checks his watch again, because at 9 a.m. his needy boss will record him late. Perhaps this time I'll get fired, he thinks, but it won't matter much. He takes another step forward. It's 8:39 a.m. Noah begins to climb the safety rail. The metal is cool but firm. The view of New York City's bustling streets from the 110th floor is an astonishing, memorable sight, one he's privileged to witness thanks to the bunch of janitor keys dangling from his belt. The job's got its perks, he thinks. Noah swallows hard and squeezes his eyes shut. He hoists himself over the barrier. His palms are slick, his legs like jelly. It's 8:46 a.m. Noah hears an unusual grumble. The noise increases to a deafening roar until it is so intense that Noah decides to open his eyes. Several floors beneath him, he sees a commercial plane flying low at high speed and heading straight for the building. His tear-filled eyes widen. He leaps back over the railing and starts to run. Behind him, an enormous explosion erupts. The tremendous force of the plane's impact shudders the tower. Plumes of smoke consume his vision. filling his lungs, and Noah hits the opposite rail and cries out when it begins to sway. Eventually, it falls. A blast of intense heat consumes and carries him away from the tower, tearing his father's handkerchief and the keys from his care. Noah knows nothing but the blur of brick, screams and sirens of distant emergency vehicles, and his arms flail helplessly. His final thoughts are not of his sister, but of his ex-wife, Dylan. Noah Finn no longer wants to die.
Well,
there you go. Wow, what an ending. Thank you very, very much for that.
I mean, it puts you right there, doesn't it? It puts you right
at
the top of the tower.
Yeah, because it's quite tense, isn't it? You can feel the tension building up. And very powerful description.
Thank you. I wanted the reader to be there with Noah and to learn the lessons with Noah. So I'm glad. Well, I'm not glad that it makes you feel tense, but I'm glad at the same time.
It's actually sort of coming across because I think for me, when I'm reading a book, I actually want to get myself immersed in it, and I want to have feelings about the characters, to engage with them.
Yeah, I think I almost wanted. I mean, when he wakes up from passing away, Noah wakes up on a subway train, and he thinks he's going to work. It's dark and it's gloomy, and the lights are flickering, and there's a policeman that keeps running around on the train. And I think I wanted the reader to almost be in the seat beside him, to experience the flickering lights and the confusion and the terror that he's feeling, that this unknown future, and he's expecting to go to work, and then all of a sudden he's not going to work. It's something completely different. It's almost like a dream for him, and I wanted the reader to be right there with him.
Yeah. Well, yes, because we don't know what to expect ourselves, do we?
Exactly.
When we go across there, the big sleep, as they might say.
Yes.
Look at Martin here, and I don't know why at all, but there you go.
Thanks, Emma. Thank you.
Right, okay. But you don't know what to expect, do you, at all? And so, I mean, you were conjuring up an idea there for people, weren't you? That's.
I don't think it's what I believe. I don't think it's what I don't believe. I think it's just one of the millions of possibilities.
Absolutely.
And I just think I wanted the reader to be sat there thinking, what if, with Noah, as he's experiencing it as well.
It reminds me of a film called It's a Matter of Life and Death, and it's quite the reverse here in the respect that David Niven, who's the star of it, is actually a pilot, and he's killed. And he has to go through all these different stages to be brought back to life. He's fighting for his life. I shouldn't have died then. I died too young. Okay. I died too young. And he has got all these judges, and each one of them sets him tasks to do and arguments. There's a philosophical judge, there's a lawyer there, and they're all, because they want to keep him. And so he's having to pose his arguments all the time as to why he really has a right to live, to continue with his life, and so it's a matter of life and death.
I forget. Does he win? Does he survive? Can we give this?
I can give this spoiler away. Although actually, it's going to be on next week at the Picture House at the Science and Media Museum. So for those of you that are going to see it, put your hand over your ears now. But he wins the arguments, and he gets to live another day.
Wow.
Okay. So there you go.
Yeah.
It obviously didn't. You've watched it several times, Martin, and you can't remember what happened
in
the end.
Emma, is it? But,
no, you probably fell asleep.
It's Powell and Pressburger, isn't it? And their films are always kind of have a romantic feel to them.
Yes, there is a romance that goes through it as well.
Feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I take this opportunity to thank Rachel for coming into the studio today for us?
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me again.
No, lovely. We'll keep inviting you. So every time you get when your next Pandora comes out, then please come back again and see us. And thank you very much for all your readings, and the best of luck. I hope you have a great success with it.
Thank you so much, and I do hope that people come and keep me company on the 17th, because I'll be terrified reading in front of all those people.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
We'll be there. Okay, so moving on to some more music, and this is George Ezra and Blame It On Me.
It'll take about maybe 10 minutes. I'm not going to bother with the introduction thing, just so that don't keep it too long. So I'll read the prologue, and then I'll read the first chapter, and then hopefully you can enjoy the book on your own as well. So prologue: death is not the end. That's what I'm hoping to teach this 28-year-old exhausted janitor, Noah Finn, before it's too late. It's my duty. I've been watching Noah since the day he was born. I witnessed his first breath, cheered him on when he braved that first wobbly step, and then the next. I I've laughed at every birthday party, and I even danced at his wedding. In fact, for every second of every minute of every hour of every day of Noah's rather short but beautifully meaningful life, I've been there. Naturally, I was also in the room for the birth of his paternal twin sister Annalise, and until yesterday morning I was watching over her too. But watching is all I do, all I'm capable of, known for or hated for. It is, however, easily the most rewarding part of my job. Observation is merely the first and kindest step on the road to a tailored afterlife. For I am death. I will take you when you will take no more, end your suffering and your pain, even when you deserve to feel it all. Then I'll exchange one wasted life for another, just like Noah's, especially Noah's. Because a person, sometimes people, have to die for anyone, everyone, to live. The unwritten law, a law I cannot change and joyfully enforce. To most it seems unfair, but it never discriminates, proving death is not the end. Never is, never has been, and never will be. Lesson 1, Denial, Chapter 1. This takes place at the station, that's on September 11th, 2001.
Today on September 11th, 2001, so hopefully you'll enjoy the short snippet movie for you. But I think most people think that dragons are supposed to be mysterious creatures and that we hide behind closed doors and kind of entire period until this bestseller emerges 5 minutes later, and I suppose being an introvert and not used to doing things like this, that part's partially true. I do hide behind my own door. And it shouldn't really come as a surprise that public speaking doesn't come naturally to me, and public anything from that doesn't really come naturally to me, so I really appreciate you all coming today. The truth is, all I know about public speaking is from the wonderful Stephen King and Stephen King fans.
Yay!
Yay, yeah, the whole one. And he tends to use 3 techniques, 2 of which I can't use today, because one of them is vulgar language and the other is cheating jokes. And I don't do either of those. But the third one is telling little anecdotes, little short stories, just to get people in the mood and understanding what's going on. So I've got a little story for you today before I read. A few years ago, I broke down in the middle lane of the Stratford Road, and I was terrified. I was on my own, and this gentleman very kindly pulled up on the moped behind me and pushed me out of the way, and then retrieved his moped and took his helmet off and put it on the moped to check if I were okay, bless him. And you wouldn't believe that a rumble of traffic knocked the helmet into the road and the lorry pushed it. So that's why I was thinking, that was in one of my own stories, that being a tragedy. But the guy laughed it off and put his helmet back on and continued, and I was thinking, am I missing something? I assumed we were in a tragedy and you seem to think that we were in a comedy. And it kind of hit me that we were in a tragedy at all. We were in a comedy just like everybody in the room as well, and I was at different times. Late that evening I kind of sat and thought about what was I sitting around, and he could go past and drove off and he didn't, so that kind of leads me on to know the story, so I hope you enjoy it.
Got a question,